Custodians of Wisdom. And we welcome our ancestors with this beautiful music, this beautiful visual. We take in the beauty of the African woman and all her light. Woo, powerful, powerful visual of wisdom to bring in that beautiful energy, truth, love, and wisdom. Because we're talking about wisdom tonight. So, welcome, Chief Amun.
Hey, welcome.
So, we are so grateful to be able to come to you in this beautiful day of March. Spring is almost here, even though Florida is going into winter and spring weather. So, I'm grateful to be here. So, how are you, Chief? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just kind of busy. It's been ripping and running the whole day, so but I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
good. Just trying to get everything, all the gears greased up, and the and what we got going on, and trying to make sure everything is running smoothly in every sphere of the matter. So that's what I'm trying to do.
so we breathing in joy, peace, love, gratitude as we go, and we can get so busy that we even forget to breathe. I know sometimes, you're going about your day and you realize, okay, I'm not even really breathing deeply. So let's just take a minute to breathe in this moment. And we're talking about wisdom tonight or today. It's funny that when we were trying to decide what's our topic, I go into creation mode with my flyer. I love creating the flyer to announce what we're going to talk about, what the subject is, but we couldn't figure it out. So it seems like creator spirit brought us the topic, what is wisdom? Because I found that picture when I was searching for an image to put on the flyer. That picture showed up, what is wisdom? I'm like, well, where'd that come from? And so here's what I want to start our conversation, our discussion on tonight or today. I keep thinking it's night, 5 o'clock. Is wisdom, being a student of the Bible in my young years and growing up in a Christian home. The Bible has taught me what wisdom is, but more importantly, my dad taught me wisdom.
Right.
So there's a scripture that says to fear the creator, they say God, but I say creator. Fear of creator is the beginning of wisdom. Now, that word fear, I translate that now, being a student, a mature and advanced student of the Bible, I translate that word fear into reverence. Reverence of not just creator, but reverence of the law of reaping and sowing. Because the law of the universe, in my mind, and everybody can really, and Washita, she says wisdom is wise dominion. So we all can tune in about what is wisdom in our mind. But I want to start with the law of the universe, which is reaping and sowing, or karma. That's my definition. So I'm gonna let Chief continue with this introduction of what is wisdom, and he has maybe some other topics he want to bring in. So go ahead, Chief.
Well, when we're speaking about wisdom, we're talking about, like I said before, wisdom is the perfection of knowledge. In certain schools, they use symbols to illustrate this, where they give you the square and they give you the sphere. The sphere represents the spiritual side of things, and then the square represents the physical side of things. And sometimes people refer to it as the father mind, or the masculine part of the mind, and the mother mind, which is the curve, you see. And when a person begins to grow as they experience, if as they move through life, if they're taking notes in life, because life is a classroom in which your experiences are the teacher, if they're actually taking notes in life, then they can use that as a measuring rod of progress. And as they go from one part of their life to the next, they will be able to perfect this part of life, perfect that part of life, perfect this part of their character, perfect that part of the character. And when they reach a certain point, then they can become very polished and very considered to be very wise, or considered to be an elder. And if we take it to symbology, uh, or using symbols, or we can look at the square that is maybe a one-dimensional thing or two-dimensional, and it becomes a three-dimensional thing. The square becomes a cube, and then the circle becomes a sphere. It has now perfected itself. You see that? So we perfected ourselves on the physical level and perfect ourselves on the spiritual level. And it's hustle and bustle. It's a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of mistakes. There's really no such thing as a mistake. Universally speaking, there's no such thing as a mistake. It's only lessons, you see. And whether it take you to go through these lessons 25 times or just once, that's why they say, if you can't get it within due time, you got to learn the hard way. It's a lot of people like that, So, um,
Well, I'm reading a book called by Dr. Gregory, I think McGarry is her name. She lived to be 102 years old. She was a holistic medicine clinic director. She was a medical doctor of holistic medicine. And one of her chapters is the 6 ways to become to reach longevity and to have wisdom. Just what you mentioned is everything is a lesson. And I that is to me like the basic understanding experience of maturity and wisdom is everything is a lesson, so that we don't have to, we can choose to, we can know that no matter what happens to us, there's a lesson in it.
yeah, there's definitely a lesson in it. And when you get caught up in distractions, whether it be dieting, whether it be wasting times, the goings on in society, TV shows and things like that, we tend to not treat this life as a classroom, and we're just distracted, and we're no longer taking notes anymore. We're supposed to do attention to detail, which is the goings on in our personal life, the feelings, the experiences that we go through, and to measure these experiences accordingly, and to take notes on these experiences, and then they become embedded into your consciousness, and then you have the birth of maturity at every step of the way, within your experiences. But if not, then you become what they call an old fool, which is just an older person that acts like they're 16 or 18 or 20, so it's extremely important, and that's one thing I like about Black New Science and the teachings in the spiritual sciences, is that it it allows you to use which is actually the ways of all of our ancestral schools. In the schools today in the Enlightened Society, everything is about inward. Everything is about inward. Even though you're moving through life, you find out when you start, as you mature, you start realizing you're actually moving within yourself. You're not really moving outside of yourself as you move through life. You're actually moving within yourself. You see that? Because you're not the body. You're the infinite that's latched on in and around the body. You see that? So your original mind, or the true you, circumscribes all of existence. Just like if you have a thought and you see things being played out, let's say a memory that's played out. You may remember a house, a car, certain events that took place, a family reunion, and it shows a vastness, amount of people, um, a huge building. All of this is going on in your mind. All of this is within your mind. Um, so, in other words, what I'm trying to say is the mind is bigger than what it conceives. You see, and we have to start to put that inside of our heads. As such, we have to start thinking like that in every situation of life. You see, and it's a it's a it takes time, and you can perfect it, but it takes time. And as you age, which is not talking about the growth of consciousness, as you age, you get better and better and better at it. You see, and so everything is about inward growth. And as a person moves through life, there's always the mind, which is what meditation helps you to do. It helps you to be balanced. So not only are you looking, quote unquote, outside of yourself, but you always have your eyes inward. Your mind is always focused inward, with that trying to listen to the inner voice. What should I do next? What should I do this? You're not going to get all answers, should I say, or always follow it, because you're going to trip up, you're going to fall. But you need those cuts, nicks, and bruises to gain that wisdom sometimes. So um,
Well, we got a lot of immature adults when it comes to wisdom, in my opinion. I like to read the comments on YouTube videos. I spend my evenings watching YouTube. If I'm not watching Netflix, a documentary, then I'm watching YouTube to figure out, okay, what's going on? What's the news of the day? And I love reading the comments because you get a barometer, or you get a feeling of where people's minds and thoughts and emotions are, right? And when I read the comments, oh my goodness, I'm like laughing sometimes and I'm just shaking my head because people are reacting instead of responding with wisdom. They're angry. People are angry. They're hating on people. And so you can tell that even with adults, there is a lack of wisdom. Like you're saying, it takes time. It takes your this command center up here has to be developed over the years with training and teaching and meditation. The meditation that we've been doing with you has been training my mind and my emotions and my thoughts. Because I think when I first started with your meditation, I think I texted you and said, my thoughts were just everywhere that first time. It was that first night. I couldn't get my thoughts the monkey mind to be quiet. It was just everywhere.
the
But
monkey
the
mind.
more, huh?
That's something you call it, the monkey mind.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
all this rattling and then going. But then the more I stayed with it, the more I trained my emotions and thoughts to say, okay, get out of here. That's like, okay, a passing thought. Go ahead, go away. All right, keep going. And then the breath helping you to focus and all that. But so many people are lost in that process of maturing to have that peaceful mind and learn lessons and get into deep breathing. And so I feel that's why we're here. I'm coming together with you is to help people go to the next level, wherever they're meeting them where they are, and helping them realize, okay, if you want to change your physical, mental, stressful state, there's another level that you can go to. And Chief is here to guide us. And with our experience together, we can help people see the next step. Because there's so much hate, especially with politics right now. I'm just wishing people would see the lessons in this political scene. There's a lesson in what do you think, for instance, is the lesson in the political scene right now in this country, United States of America? There's a lot going on in Washington, D.C., and people are angry about it. And I'm just seeing lessons. Number one, a chess play. There's a chess game. I see a chess game every day. It's like, oh, pawns are moving today, or oh, the king's in the, oh, okay, there's checkmate. Oh, no checkmate. What do you see in this political scene that we're observing in our country, as far as wisdom or lack of, basically?
I see a lot of people, which this goes back to another podcast we did a few back. A lot of our people don't know how to think. They don't think. They don't know what thinking is. You can't properly process, we'll say, events that are happening or going on outside of yourself if you don't have yourself properly calibrated within yourself. If you're not in tune with your inner self, you're not going to have proper reasoning. You see that, which we call divine reasoning. You're
Yeah.
not going to have proper perception of things. Your perception is not something that's just randomly just depends on you. Your perception and in our schools and education in our culture is supposed to be aligned with your inner self. You see, that's why I say you don't see an enlightened society amongst the Dogon people or other enlightened societies. They're not debating amongst each other. They're in agreement. They try to figure out issues not by debating with one another, but by putting their minds together. They already know the basics of this and that. So when we're looking at the goings on in the world, it's not trying to perceive it properly to diagnose it by giving your opinion about it. It's first, can you properly understand what's going on if you're not properly aligned with your inner self? You see, and most people are not. That's why you go on YouTube videos and they show things about, Donald Trump and this person, that person, and you look and read the comments. People's minds are all over the place, you know. And so when we're dealing with slavery, genocide, which is still going on today in various forms, and systemic racism and all this different stuff like that, it ain't changed. It's not changed. But when we looking at that, one thing that they were successful at is they killed our natural education. They killed the indigenous schools of thought. They killed all that stuff over here, especially, and they influenced it in Africa, where the numbers of people who are entering these schools have gone down. They've been dwindling. They still have it, but they've still been dwindling. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So our people, where they should be to be able to perceive things properly, to understand what's going on in the world, is, that's what I look at. I don't really look at, for myself, I look at what's going on in the world, but I'm looking at the people who are trying to perceive what's going on in the world. Say, for instance, if you don't have knowledge of self, then the actions that you take, you might as well be doing these actions with a blindfold on. And a lot of times you're working for the people, in the favor of the people that you don't like, that you dislike. If you don't like these people, they're ruining the country, they're doing this, they're doing that, you are going to be working in favor of these people. Like some people that think that they can actually fix this society or this present matrix or this present the government. So they come up with things. We need to vote for such and such. We need to do this. It's like, that's like saying we're in the slave master's house. We need this person in the kitchen instead of that person. No, you need to get off the plantation. That's the whole thing. So it's not about who's working on the plantation, whether it be this character, that character. It's about totally removing yourself. And I'm not talking about a physical thing. It's the thinking, it's the mind. So you have to remove your mind, or remove somebody else's mind out of your mind so that your natural mind can be born within yourself and then move accordingly. Because energy follows thought. You see that? And matter follows energy. I'm saying that if your thinking changes, then your body will follow that. So that's why the elders were speaking that first has to be a mental separation and then a physical one. But people don't understand how in depth when they say it has to be a mental separation, that's very deep. Many layers to that, many different layers to that. And we all have succumbed to the waves. But the firstborn, what they call the elites or the gods and goddesses, those are the ones that leading the way. And their minds and their consciousness is actually having an effect on the planet, and it's driving this planet, and the gods are driving this planet, the ancestors, whatever you want to call them, but it's driving the destiny of the very people that they feel like this. Oh no, they're taking over the planet, they're leading society down. The essence of this society anyway is already ruined. It's not for us. It's nothing but a slave plantation. I'm trying to make things, just keep it simple. But It's not for us to fix master's house. You see that? It's going down regardless. It's, you know, because, they don't have any morals. They have lied for years. I mean, people know the nature of these people. So I don't really have to get into that. But my thing is how to perceive properly your existence, your different experiences, how to perceive them properly instead of moving through life like you're moving through a dream and not conscious of each step that you're taking, each thought that you have that enters the mind, which also means that you're not in control of yourself. If you're not in control of yourself, you're definitely not on any level um, uh, in your God mindset. You see that? And
Oh
that's
yeah.
a process. That's a process.
Well, I'm reading some of the comments. I love some of these comments. Let's bring in some of the comments because Peace from Enlightened Being. Thank us, Enlightened Being, for showing up. Hey, wisdom is showing up. So everybody here got wisdom, in my opinion. David E.
Mm.
Jenkins Jr., greetings, everyone. Wisdom manifesting and greetings, everyone. Washita Wellness, wisdom is wise dominion. Ooh, I want to elaborate on that one, Chief. Wisdom is wise dominion. I
She
like,
said she need to elaborate on it.
yeah, you need to elaborate on that because what comes to my mind is the dominion over us is our ancestors, is the messengers, is the cosmic energy of the planets, astrology. And then I also was thinking about when you were talking how the spirit of Harriet Tubman is alive and well today because that spirit is calling us out of the plantation. And some people, like the brother was saying, I think later on, with okay, this next comment, wisdom is knowing how and when to use knowledge. Okay, do you have the knowledge that Harriet Tubman is alive today in spirit? Okay, so how do you use that? What is Harriet Tubman saying to us? We ain't talking to her in the flesh. In fact, we're not talking to her in the third dimension. But my sister, Mama Az, is talking to that woman every day in a fourth to fifth dimension. She talks to spirit ancestors every day. She shares with me somebody visited her who is not in the flesh. So when Stephen, thank you, Stephen Peavy, for showing up, when he says is knowing how is what is Harriet Tubman saying to you today? If you feel her spirit, I feel her spirit presence in this third dimension of plantation struggle, stress that people are in mentally, and not knowing how to move into fourth dimension. No matter where you are, whether you're in the ghetto, whether you in the on the farm, you can be in the fourth dimension off the plantation. But he says wisdom is knowing that, and when to use that. When do you use the knowledge that Harriet Tubman is with us today, and what is she saying to you, and what does it mean to you? Do you need to move out of Chicago? Do you need to move into the wilderness, on a farm? That's to me the knowing how and when to use that knowledge that our ancestors are always talking to us, whether we know it or not.
Well, it's actually a mindset,
Yeah,
because there was those that existed before her that had the same mindset.
exactly.
Past 6,000 years, the non-black race people have done a lot of horrific things. It's not just with the Europeans, but you also have the Arabs who have done their due diligence. You have the Chinese people, the non-black Chinese people. You have the non-black East Indian people. So all of these people have done horrific things to our people the world over, and
Yeah,
you always had that inner guidance or uh, of different, I call them deities or different brothers and sisters that came along that said, hey, hey, wake up, hey, we could do this and that, we gotta get out of this, and so forth and so on. We always had guidance. So she's one of those goddesses that came and done a lot of good work for a lot of brothers and sisters. You see, um, unfortunately, what we have to look at is our own people have also been our own worst enemy in destroying ourselves, and it's because of lack of knowledge, and which is knowledge itself. Um, so we have to take what we've been given and utilize it to the fullest, to the fullest capacity, and we have to do it in an insane way. And it's trying to get this stuff together, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge because we're building something from the ashes, you see, with just pure knowledge and wisdom itself. So it's a challenge. We have to be patient and keep pushing. A lot of times people, all right, brother Marquise, a lot of times people, uh, they they like to massage themselves intellectually. We're not about that. We don't want to massage ourselves intellectually. That's not good enough. We want to see something in place. We want to start manifesting things. Start with learning knowledge itself, applying it to your life, teaching it to others, coming together, and just doing different things. And it's already been done. So it's not like it's what we have to do. It's already being done right now. You see that? So, so as far as Harriet Tubman's spirit, is really, I wouldn't say that it's her spirit, because it was those before her that that came along. We got ancient African pharaohs and kings and people like that that have contributed a million times over. Just like she has on various scales. And there was a lot of unknowns that came along to help people out that was never written in history, their names. So
I
uh,
think I like to use Harriet because the female energy has been kind of suppressed over the years, especially in the Bible. I had this group text I got from, and this pastor sent a message out about God, his. It was all he, his. And I had to comment, it's like, who is God and why are you using he? Like, okay, brother Marquis, peace to the God. Can you elaborate on that for me? Because I'm of this mind that I'm learning African languages. I'm learning Mayan languages with my family of synchronistic humans teaching me Mayan languages. I'm learning all these new languages. I studied Hebrew for 20 years or more. And so when I see the word God, it almost is a trigger for me to say, what does that mean? Please elaborate,
well,
because so
okay.
many people have used that to support in a negative way. He, him. And when I mention Harriet Tubman, you're right. There have been so many ancestors before her, but she to me is the female energy that was strong enough to get some people off the plantation. And then today, when you look at some of the imbalances in male and female energy, I'm like so sensitive to using he, she, and all that in a way that means something powerful and not just throwing it out there, he, she, God, this. And I'm like, wait, stop. Let's interpret that. So you're right. I mean, Harriet and beyond, but Harriet is not is a female image, is a female
Hmm.
energy. If we could look
Hmm.
at all of this as female male energy,
Hmm.
and the language we use, like it does trigger some triggers, some people get triggered, but we can have a discussion to elaborate and translate. How about that?
Yeah, well, when he say peace to the God, I'm God. So you're a God.
Oh,
So he
okay.
said peace to
Thank
you. You see?
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
So
I see you as a ninja and so many, so I see you as so many other things, which is see, thank you for elaborating on that. Now I understand. I can calm down. We are the gods and goddesses. So there you are. We are the gods and goddesses according to Crystal. Thank you, Crystal, for showing up. Because we have amnesia about who we are, and to each of us, I'm a female queen, and some people call me Dr. V, and I get all these, labels and introductions to who I am, but each of us really need to know, who are you? What's the inner value? What's your persona? Who do you really believe you are? And I could say you're definitely a God creator. And hey, how about replacing God with creator? Because we got to be creative beings these days to
Well,
survive. To survive.
well, that's like an attribute.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you got umbrella names, and then you have attributes that go up under that umbrella. So they trying to be more specific. You see, um, when we look at, if you want to say we're using English titles, creative is also an English title. So what we have done is everything that they have done and the language that they introduced us to, we gave it rhythm and life, the best way we can to communicate with one another and to take what cannot be comprehended by the English language. We have our ways of adding the rhythm and the concepts to it so we can get that idea across to our fellow brother and sister. You see? So some people say, what's going on, God? Some people may say, what's up, Ak? You see, which is a way of saying you're a complete being. Ak is Kaaba and or the mind, body, and soul. You see what I'm saying? Making a complete being. Um, so I mean, people have many different things or ways that they explain these things. You see, so
Yeah. Yeah.
if you have knowledge of self and you're familiar with different organizations or walks of life, you're familiar with all their terminologies or how they express themselves. So, somebody may look and say, "Assalamu alaikum," I may say, and somebody may say, you call somebody Allah. You see what I'm saying? So we have to meet people on all these different squares where they stand, or else we won't be able to communicate and socialize. And it's like a pyramid. Everybody's at the base, and all sides move to one point, and that one point is within each person, and that's where we'll find ourselves. Everybody.
I made a comment on Twitter because they were talking about the N word, and I made a comment that my experience was I lived on a piece of land in my tiny house on wheels for 5 years, and the owner of that land and I got to know each other really well. He was a redneck, big, heavy set redneck, and we sat down. I used to clean his house in exchange for him taking $50 off my rent, and we sat down one day, and he said to me, "You know, um, there are white people who are niggers too." And I was like, "Okay, really now?" And we had a conversation. Here's this redneck and I talking about the N word. And I made that comment on Twitter and I got a strike. They did not like me using, I spelled out the N word and I had redneck in there and N word. I don't know which one offended them the most. But using that language gave me a strike on Twitter. I said, okay, I didn't know it was still that sensitive out there, but I like the word ninja instead of the N word.
Hey, well, when we meet you, that's what we'll say. That's
Because
all good. That's what we'll say when we meet you.
we have overused the N word, I think, but it's still out there, and the F word and hip hop and all that. It's like I'm just using what feels comfortable for me, and I thought that was okay, but you just never know. It opened up a question in my mind as people that really sensitive. Well, evidently Twitter is. Twitter has certain standards that you can't use the N word. So I'm gonna just replace whenever I think of the N word, I'm gonna just ninja. I'm gonna put ninja in there. So now beware, everyone.
Everybody has their measuring rod, how far they would go, what they would say, what they wouldn't say. I mean, some people may be using certain things, but you're not just gonna walk up to them and say, "Hey, don't say that." You probably get your brains blowed out or something. So, I just kind of meet people where they are. Especially if you're out in the streets or something like that, or you somewhere in I meet them where they are. I'm about this. My thing is progress. So meet people, somebody where they are. If you got something that'll help that person to grow into a better person, then share it. That's
I
what.
just thought we're on YouTube. They might not like me saying that. Oops. We will. Okay, we have to watch for an email. They might strike us because I said that on YouTube. YouTube is really weird about medical phrases, especially. I got several strikes because I was talking about the V word, but I'm a lot wiser now about that. And even using the N word might be a little sensitive. But here we are talking about wisdom in every aspect of our being, and even language. We have to use wisdom, especially being on social media platforms, YouTube, talking to one another. We might trigger somebody, we might offend somebody. So the wisdom for me is reaping and sowing and being conscious about whatever comes out your mouth, and whatever you put in your mouth is going to have consequences that you may be uncomfortable about. So let us all be more conscious about what comes out, what goes in, and especially what goes in up here. Because whatever you put in here in entertainment, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, a lot of times people talk about the English language as the devil's language, is corrupt and things like that. Well, don't say this word, don't say the word black, don't say this. Well, the entire language is cursed. So you want to say that, stop speaking English, you see. But the thing is, we have to take what we have, like snake venom, and make anti-venom out of it. So we using English and then we reformulate it, and we speak life into our people using English, and they grow. And there's a lot of people that transform without knowing an ancient language. They only know English. But that doesn't mean that you're limited, that you cannot tap into, let's say, the God frequency or the different layers within yourself. You still can tap into these layers within yourself if you applying yourself, like with the fasting, meditation, practice, and concentration. But it has to be done for hours and hours and hours. It can't be done for like 15, 20 minutes. You can forget it. With all the stuff going on in the world, it's just not going to work. But you can still speak English. You can still use these terminologies and stuff. Now there are certain um, words in English they're just too concentrated with negative energy. They're just too concentrated. Those are the type of words that you want to avoid. But other ones are not so bad. You see. And also, you have to look at language as words are like containers. You can put energy in these containers. You see that? You can redefine the word in your subconscious mind. That's where you would want to redefine a word, because a lot of times people speak about, well, the English language is nothing but a spell. That's why they talk about spells. Yeah, but they don't really understand the science behind that. We talking about language and talking about a spell. It depends on how your subconscious mind is wired with the words of choice. And you can go down in your subconscious mind and rewire those words, because the English language is a bastardized language anyway. Yes, there was meaning to these words before you start using them, but you can change the meaning of these words on a subconscious level, or what we call a computer mind, and then start spitting them out. And when you say these words, in your computer mind or subconsciousness, the definition that you have wired your mind up to accept is what will come forth inside of your mind, instead of something that predates you, how somebody else defined that same word. You see that? So that's what people need to understand too, that the mind can be rewired.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't think that they know to what depth. It can get to the point where if you chopped your finger off, you can actually rewire your mind and grow that finger back if you focus enough and you really doing auto suggestion um, and a lot of affirmations and things like that. Not just that, but you have to have the other part of your genetics open. So that means you have to eat a certain type of way and so forth and so on. A lot of the process. But if you do that and you have your lifestyle as such, you can actually grow your finger back. You could do that. That's actually so-called new science. It's really old known things, but they was demonstrating things like that, not in that way, but they were triggering the different the genes inside of the human body to be able to grow back one of the limbs if it's cut off. by just using some kind of powdered substance. And another way is using some energy through an electrode inside the arm to send certain signals. But you can do that anyway because you receive energy through your glands that some people call chakras. You see that? And with that, and you can give that energy command working with the computer mind and be able to grow back a finger. But most people don't want to change their lifestyle to that extreme. So that's why you don't readily see it all the time.
Well, and that's why taking closing down the federal government Department of Education is necessary and needed, because we need to bring the education back into the home first of all and teach what you just talked about. Imagine if our kindergarten children were taught what you just taught them. By the time they get in high school, they be doing all kinds of
Oh
fourth
yeah.
dimensional things. But we have had too much influence from this crazy, narcissistic, psychopathic government. And now that it's being dismantled and disrupted, people are losing their minds because they've been addicted to federal government, a master in Washington. And that's why we have to learn wisdom about what's going on in our country right now, because the changes that people are seeing happening, the uprooting of evil, the revelation of evil in our government, so forth, it's all for our good. But we have been so addicted to this lifestyle of government has the answers, government should be teaching our, setting the rules for our children. No, 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 no. This is not comfortable, but we need to get back to education and the family first. Imagine if you were in charge in your community of the education of the whole community. We'd have some smart goddesses and gods in the community, but instead, the public school system is getting money from the master in Washington, and they've been limiting what they've been teaching our children to their harm, in my opinion. We got to have them all smart on the computer, on the laptop, and all that. No, let's get them out and working and growing some food, learning how
Yeah,
to
that's
food. And
yeah,
that's what we've missed in by being so dependent on this government. And now that is the shift that's happening, people losing their minds, because it's hard when you've been addicted to something or someone like this, and you don't even know how to start over again. We can start over. We're starting over right now, right here,
yeah, that's right.
re-educating, re-educating ourselves.
You're exactly right. And that's why in this system, that's why a lot of people have so many bodily ailments. You know, it's like the eyesight because of the artificial lights, the
Yes, yes.
the red light and the blue light rays are not balanced. You see that? Like the sunlight, it's not balanced. So it causes a lot of strain and issues using these computers and cell phone screen time and things like that. A lot of the ailments that we have, we was living in our culture, we wouldn't even have them no more. Wouldn't have that no more. And the planet is going to a frequency that's so high because it's following the awakeness of the mentality of our people. Certain viruses, bacterias, and all that stuff won't be able to survive on the planet in our lifetime, actually. So um, it's you're going to see that in your lifetime. I mean, it's bacteria, certain viruses, and things that's causing harm to the physical body. It's going to be gone because we're moving into we're inside of a different era of time now. And that era of time is truth and justice and righteousness and things that people talked about the ancients and the ancient things that they could do. Those things are being reborn in the mind of the people. It's a gradual process. It'll be greatly accelerated once the separation takes place and those rituals and initiations and spiritual practices are in place. Rites, ceremonies, and rituals are in place once that separation has reached its maturity. And that's definitely going to take place. And it's a hustle and bustle to get there. It's ups and downs, it's trips and falls, and so forth and so on. But I think that it's worth every bit of it. You see that? Because nothing in this society, we don't need anything. We don't need anything. When we say society, we're talking about the mental matrix, that has been projected outwardly. It's not a physical stone. Society is a mentality. Changes with us, with our separation and having our own villages and so forth and so on, which has already been done in our lifetime and is still being done now. You're going to see a lot of change. Definitely a lot of great change with the minds of our people and the health of the mentality of the children and the adults. It's not about the kids. It's about the children and the adults and the old and the elders. It's about everybody.
The cooperation of the
I just
community.
and I just want to say this. A lot of times people say, "Oh, it's about the kids," and you always look at those people that say that, and you look, they're absolutely doing nothing for themselves in life. Majority of people that I've come across, they use that as an excuse and a scapegoat to do nothing. Oh, it's not about me. I'm old. It's about the children. No, it's about you too. So you still need to have self-discipline with the type of foods that you eat, meditations and prayers and all these different things like that you should be doing as well.
Well,
Everybody has a place.
the elders have to represent the wisdom that's missing in these young people
Yep.
because they are seriously depleted of wisdom. They're doing things without considering the consequences. They're making a lot of choices, the younger generation, that they haven't looked down the road a year or two or three to figure out, well, what's going to happen if I do this today? So we, the elders, are represent. If we're healthy and conscious, we're going to help them see the consequences and maybe survive their choices and not suffer as much. Because, like you mentioned, the bacteria and the viruses and all that, we have a microbiome inside of this vessel that, if it's strong, it will help us prevent disease and sickness and suffering. Well, the youth today are destroying that. They don't even have a consciousness that there's a ecosystem inside your gut. And so those of us who are conscious of that, we need to help them understand that if you continue to eat and do what you're doing, you're destroying the vessel and you're going to end up in a nursing home at the age of 40 and 50. So that's where the wisdom kicks in for the elders. Like you said, we can't sit around in a rocking chair and watch Netflix all day. We got to be learning new things from you and your generation, and then having conversations with the younger ones about how to be a conscious human being on this planet so that we can survive. Because we can survive any bacteria, virus, and all that, but it has to, like you said, it starts with our thoughts. We got to be mindful of what is going to happen if we make certain choices and don't get out of this matrix craziness and build our communities, food and growing food and all that. That's where we have to come together in unity. No debating. I'm just not in touch with people who want to debate anymore. It's like when I have a conversation with a friend on the phone, she wants to debate about something. Oh, sorry, got to go. I'm not in debate. We got to converse about unity. How can we bring unity and cooperation and build, not destroy, and debate for hours and hours and hours? What's there to debate about when you're conscious and, like the brother said, to now have the knowledge? You know what we need to be doing. Then what are we debating for? So where are we in that? In
Well,
that?
um, when it comes to debating, it's a difference between building and debating.
Oh yeah,
Building is when you have positive discussions to reach a certain plateau of truth.
yes.
Debating is arguing with somebody and knocking each other head off. I mean, you're never going to get one. It's just moving in circle. And our people, we have certain people that have looked at this thing as they have taken a money making market and brought it over into the conscious community, if you want to say that. And they only look at like capitalistic gain. And you notice that some people who have accomplished that in the circle of those that know have done absolutely nothing with the funds. I'm talking about funds on a scale like millions of dollars. and to go out and buy these fancy cars and all this stuff with this, and houses and mansions and stuff. But I'm like, wow, you know what you could have did with that? You could have actually
Mhm.
bought so many acres of land in the community. Everybody came together and did this and that. But it wasn't meant to be. A lot of times people like that are there as an example for generations to come after them to see what was unbecoming in that type of mentality. You see that?
Absolutely.
So it wasn't meant, you see. And so but as far as the children are concerned, with the teenagers and what they're doing, believe it or not, a lot of them actually know that the music is negative. They shouldn't eat that food. They shouldn't eat this. They already know, they don't care because it's about the moment. And usually, when something is about the moment, it means that they are overstimulated and so high on at the moment that they ignore these truths. They just ignore them, you see. And people that have been conditioned with demonic music called rap and hip hop and all this other dumb stuff, their brains calibrate to that type of frequency. And it's hard to break those barriers to create a new frequency. So that's why people that are doing things like this body of people that we're doing things in a Amana Village, is we have to do things continuously. We have to make sure that we got all this stuff going on, and one person can't do it. Can't do it. It's everybody together doing different things and this going on. We got to always have something going on, and then it'll serve as a positive distraction to counteract the negative distractions that's out here 24/7. TV wasn't 24/7. You remember that? TV was not 24/7. It would go out, but we need
Star
the positive
Spangled Banner
distractions
out.
now. So
Yeah, Star Spangled Banner out. Trump TV
yeah,
gone.
yeah,
24/7
I
is the
experienced that.
this is the worst thing that could have happened to reduce the consciousness is put the TV on for 24/7. Because now people
Well,
don't
the
know what
thing, the
else.
thing. Well, I was just gonna say, the thing about that is, we like to say, well, the devil did a good job. The devil is actually a man, male and female, did a great job in doing that, because now you're programming people 24/7. You see that? But if you always got something to do positively, they can't do anything. You see? But that's all I want to say.
Absolutely. So Chief and I are in total agreement that meditation is one of the most important lifestyle changes people should make and need to raise our consciousness and make the changes within and without. So he and I love this new uh, music meditation that we're going to play, and I even have the visual here. And Chief, I don't know if you want to lead us in a meditation as it's playing, or I don't know how I'm going to
No, I'm
bring
good.
it. Huh?
I'm good. I'm just listening.
Okay, so we want to play this for you to bring you into the awareness. Let's see. We want to bring you into the awareness that this is the solution for your scattered brain, your monkey mind, the distraction that you let this play first. Everybody feeling longer.
Can't hear you.
Could you
Yeah, I can't hear you. You have to turn it down a little. I can hear you.
So what I was saying is how asking how is everybody feeling about that meditation? Do you want it to go longer, or was it sufficient for you to be motivated, inspired, and anybody have any comments in the? What about you, Chief? How you feeling about it?
I loved it. I
Yeah,
loved it. I liked it. So
I mean, do you want it
it's
to go
very soothing.
longer?
No, I mean I'm fine. I'm just going with the flow of things. But I just like what you said that meditation or the science of stillness is something that everybody has to become proficient with, because it's the basis. True power is actually born out of stillness. That's what my teacher taught me. It's born out of stillness, not chaos. In other words, like when you said a monkey mind is bouncing all over the place, um, that type of mentality, you will never be able to get anything done or any kind of feats of magic. You have to have stillness. Stillness is equivalent to having a clean window pane. The glass is clean, so the light of the sun can shine through without any uh, of its potency being blocked by dirt or anything like that. You see, so stillness is the same thing. The more still you have your mind, the easier it is to listen to the Most High, which is your own inner being, your inner self, your higher self, or the first self. So it's very important.
Absolutely. So then, and we have someone say it was sufficient. I'm glad to hear that because we are being led by spirit to do what we do. And if you said it was sufficient, I think we're all pretty much in agreement. And we're going to just end on that in the background. And I just say to all my yogi friends out there, namaste, sadnam. And Chief, you have any final words you want to speak to us?
Nope, just internalize, all the wisdom that you can from all these different classes, and allow it to be the guiding light for you in your life. Don't just take it as entertainment.
And I really encourage you at the end of your day, whatever you have done throughout the day, end it with some beautiful music and in meditation. And do some breathing and stretching. Breathing and stretching will help you sleep better. I do it every night. I have a routine I do for about 10 minutes is stretching and legs up against the wall and then breathing, and I sleep like a baby. So whatever goes on during your day, just believe that meditation and stretching and breathing will help calm your body and your mind down and bring you into a more peaceful state. So thank you all for being here. Everything kind of worked just perfectly. We were putting it all together earlier and it all came together, and so grateful for all of you to show up. That's the wisdom, is showing up, because you just never know what the spirit's going to teach us when we show up. So everybody have a beautiful evening, and we'll see you next week.